Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Around the Court. And today we have with us someone really, really special. Someone who had been part of the dream team, as they say, in Indian volleyball. A legend in his own right, and a PVL Hall of Famer and Arjuna awardee. We are very, very honored to have with us today Mr. P.V Ramana. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So if I just take the liberty and tell this list to you: cricket, football, table tennis, hockey, kabaddi, high jump, ball badminton, shuttle badminton. Sir, is it safe to say that you decided in a very young age that you wanted to be a sports person? Sports did not matter which sport exactly, but sports person was written all over it.
So, let me come out very facts, because I stayed with my brother and I lost my father at a very young age. Okay, and it was a colony in Hyderabad. So as you know, in colony we have all sorts of sports, annual sports meet they conduct. So I played all the events. Of course, in athletics I was good. I played cricket. I was a good cricketer, but of course there are limitations to start this game, cricket especially, bringing this, purchasing the kit, equipment and all, those days, it was too expensive. And I have played hockey, I have played football, and I have played table tennis. As you said, I played ball badminton. Of course, not shuttle badminton, because shuttle badminton those days it was indoor.
I'll just interrupt a bit. So if you can explain it to the audience, what is ball badminton? Because I'm sure a lot of people would want to know what that is exactly.
Ball badminton is played, with a racket. It's a racket sport. Those days you used to have only wooden rackets. Now the fiber rackets have come in badminton also. It's played with a woolen ball and 5-a-side. So this is what is ball badminton. Of course, I have done my athletics also in school and state. I was also high jump place holder. Finally, I played kabaddi also. So many injuries with that sport. Then finally, I have settled with volleyball.
Absolutely, sir. So this is a show around the court where we talk to volley masters like you, and we tell the audience about your journey. But much before volleyball happened, you were an excellent high jumper in your own right. So if you can tell the audience why the shift from high jump to volleyball, especially when you were so good at it, you used to win, you were a high school champion. So what happened? Why the shift, sir?
It was school days. It was my school days where, of course, we used to have this quadrangular school meets against each other school.
Right.
So then during my 10th class, then my PET sir wanted me to participate in high jump and all this. Then I was good in running also. Then because of my height, one of the coach in sports authority of Andhra Pradesh also has suggested me to do high jump as well as hurdles also. But he was mainly concentrating on high jump. But those days, you were not having the high jump pit. If you remember, we used to do in the sand only. And that too, it was scissors, not belly roll and that. Up to school level, you play all the sports. Then at one level, then you start some passion game. Cricket I played. Then from there, after completing my plus 2, I have shifted from Hyderabad to Vijayawada. So then next to my house, my neighbor, one of the volleyball player was there. Then they told, "Arey yaar, my son plays volleyball. Why can't you go?" And because my brother was telling that my brother plays a sport and all this volleyball. That's how I started volleyball. And the very next 6 months, I played the rural sport for the concerned district. Then from there, I have gone to the junior districts level. So there I didn't see back.
So absolutely, sir. So we would have come to that. So my next question to you is that you had taken up volleyball professionally and playing so many sports before that. What made you take this decision that, okay, I'm going to play this sport professionally? What was the case? Why did you take up volleyball professionally, especially after playing so many sports?
Because in Vijayawada, I was I couldn't see anyone there because I had no friends other than now. So when I went to the court, then I started playing, and that coach was also very impressive with my sport. And with this volleyball performance only, I got admission into my college, Siddhartha. So,
Okay. Okay.
so
So
I
that
took,
kind of helped you in the long run.
and they were giving free education there, and I joined the college, Siddhartha. I used to play for
Wow.
Siddhartha College, and from there, so, and within no time, the very next year I played for the junior nationals, and the very next year by
Right, sir.
82 I played by
Senior.
senior nationals. The performance was
Right,
so
sir.
good because of the
Um,
agility which has been developed by playing all sports at the childhood.
Right.
Actually, now if you see, most of the professional
Hmm.
players, right from the childhood, they take only one particular sport, and your
Hmm.
body is
Right, sir.
tuned accordingly, your agility movements and all, which are only benefited to that particular sport. Like if you ask my daughter to play volleyball like other girl, I think she can't, because you need to have that agility, that commitment, and that interest, everything. Then
Right. Right.
body permits, you can play any sport.
Right. So what you're saying is like your message to the youth or the parents of this country is basically do not involve your child in a single sport from an early age. Like
Up to
make
certain age.
him or her
Yeah.
play a lot of sports so that the agility kind of increases, improves, and then
Yes.
maybe when he or she knows what he or she wants to play,
Yes.
then they can decide which sport to play professionally.
Nowadays, because of education and these computers and all these things, they definitely get into a lot of strain. So they need to have at least an hour or 2 hours in the evening session that they could go and play, like basketball one day, or volleyball one day, or swimming, or playing in the sand here and there, running on the beach, something. It should be a sort of different sort of
All-round holistic
around,
kind of a development that should happen.
yeah. So then automatically, playing a single game every day may not get that sort of interest. When he is good and agile on the ground, so he can take up any sport. It depends upon,
Right.
firstly, he can, once he has grown up to certain level, like 8 and 10, between 10 and 8 years, then you can see what sort of game he is really interested, and you'll definitely come to know. And at the same time, you
Right.
can ask the child which sport you are interested, so that you can continue regularly.
Absolutely.
That's how you look at the child, and it is most important, depending upon his height, depending upon the structure of the body, depending upon the parents,
Right.
genes and all, how height it is,
Absolutely.
and how short it is, all these things we need to look into the child, and a proper decision needs to be taken at that point of time. Because now, every parent wants, "Arey yaar, cricket is now growing on fast and everybody is being seen on TV, let us put our son in cricket." Whether he's what body he's having, whether he's able to run properly, whether he's able to swing the bat in a proper way, or
Right.
his agility is good or not. Likewise, volleyball you need that height, particular height. If he's short means you may have to only concentrate on libero, which is not that useful. It's very difficult for the libero. So if you are height,
Right.
then either setting or attacking or a blocker, all these
Blocking,
aspects.
right, sir.
Yeah. So there are more chances when you are height. So look at that. Or else
Right.
basketball. Same.
Absolutely.
Basketball also do if you have a good height, isn't it?
Right.
Or-
Absolutely,
Yeah.
sir. Swimming
Yeah.
also is there when you have a good height.
Swimming also, not that good height is required for swimming
Right.
also. I don't think, like 5'8" to 6 feet is more than sufficient for swimming.
Right, sir. Right. So
How-
I wanted to ask you this question very specifically. You were saying that parents nowadays, send their kids to cricket and all of that. You being someone who's like, even if I list out the kind of sports that you've played, some of them are mainstream. Yes, I admit that, but majority of them are not mainstream sports. I mean, they're all unconventional sports yet to become mainstream in India. Now you've pursued a sport and played it all your heart out, represented India, brought laurels, playing a sport that is not mainstream. So what would your message be to the people of the country? if they want to send their child to a non-mainstream sport, what would your message be, and how do they kind of cope up with that mentality that it's not that important to play a mainstream sport in order to become like a famous sporting personality? It can also happen from playing a non mainstream sport. So what would your message be in that regard?
You see, it's not that all Olympic sport is a mainstream. Understand?
Right.
So
right.
need to prove yourself. You need to be top at that level. Only then you get that sort of recognition. Like wrestling. What do you say? Most of them play in north side only. Shooting, tennis, and when you get a boxing, okay, and fencing.
Yeah.
If the same girl who has participated this year in the Olympics has got a medal in the Olympics, then everybody would have chosen that fencing only.
Fencing, right? Absolutely.
Table tennis, whatever sport you take, it's an Olympic sport. Then you represent your country. You are getting a good name and fame to your country. Obviously, it will be a good sport. We can't take it. Sport is good, but cricket, because cricket is so familiar, because it's very often shown on TV, isn't it?
Right.
But probably we can say we have an Olympic medal. No cricketer has an Olympic medal.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. So that is some prestigious stuff that another sport cannot compete with.
Say, I have a world championship cup in my hand. Sindhu also will say, I have a world championship gold medal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In Asian Games, of course, Asia Cup, they have whatever it is in Asian Championship. Finally, coming to the Olympics, they don't have. Recently, they are trying to include it. Even
right, sir.
The first time in the Commonwealth, they are getting it. Till then, there is no Commonwealth for them. So, of course, we definitely hope their cricket event is also included in Olympics, and definitely hope India will get a medal. So
absolutely, sir. Sir, my next question to you is again, I wanted to ask this. So you were part of the Dream Indian volleyball team. How was it being part of that team? And if you can tell stories or anecdotes of that team, because you were an integral part of it, and we all want to hear from you about the dream team of Indian volleyball.
Yeah, because that was the team where I didn't see that sort of performance in the present league or the earlier league or the present players. No doubt they have a good height, they have an excellent physique, they have power, everything. But what I feel from my side, they are not putting it in a proper way, the proper practice sessions, or that's what I feel. Because our team is of same height, but we had Jimmy, Cyril, Uday, myself, Dalil Singh was a lifter, and Sandeep Sharma. This was the main team.
Sir.
The other 12 are also the main team. Like we have Basit, Meher Singh, Sridhar, Karimullah, Sukhpal, and Kirtish. This is a 12-member team. In 1986 Asian Games, which won the bronze medal, that was the last medal in the Asian Games.
Absolutely, sir.
And that team, we had a coach, Mr. Kurup, and Setu Madhavan as assistant coach. And prior to the Asian Games, almost like 1 year to 8 months, we had a Russian coach with us. By name, I think, if I remember, he's Anatoly Balashevo, some Russian coach. And he is the man who has, set right, and he has taken care of the team along with Mr. Kurup and all. Of course, finally, Asian Games, he did not accompany the team, but Kurup and Setu Madhavan, we all went with the team. And Jimmy was outstanding. He was playing in Italy, and he was outstanding at the back line and the front line attack. And the jump and service was by him the very first time in India when he came to India. And, those days, the referees were so confused. When Mr. Jimmy used to jump and serve and land in the court, they used to give him it was fault.
Why, sir?
Because the referees were not so used for the jump and service in India. Land in the court, then they used to say, no, it was fault. This has happened in Kanpur Nationals.
Okay, sir.
Then from 83 onwards, I joined Railways. The first year in 83, I was not part of the main string. That is 6 playing members. Then from 84 onwards till 2002, I was the main player for Indian Railways as a center blocker. I played almost 20 nationals. So, of which
Wow.
I have got
Amazing picture.
gold medals, 4 silver and 5 bronze. So,
Absolutely, sir. And you telling all these achievements. Now the next question has to be asked to all the young kids that are watching this interview. They would want to know some tips from you on how to improve their game, on how to become champions like you. If you have like 2 or 3 simple tips of how to improve in volleyball, if you could tell our viewers and the young people who are watching who want to pursue volleyball as a profession.
it's one thing. The first point is you need to improve your wrist work and the contact with the ball. So that is most important. For that, you need to keep tapping to the wall, thousands of balls. Your wrist work should be so controlled. That is one first aspect. Because most of the players, they have good jump. The contact will not be that good. Sometimes they hit the wrist, sometimes with the fingers.
Right.
So the contact and control should be very soft and very perfect.
Right.
Then later on, you need to concentrate on your, especially the jump. So that is how you get is with your weight training sessions and strength and conditioning sessions. This is most important. And the third part is agility on court. So you need to keep working, diving here and there, moving front and back, and especially sidewards. So all these things. So if your knees are good, if your shoulder is good with good contact, and obviously as a volleyball player, you need to jump. You know that you need to improve that jump. You need to have that. So these are 3 aspects that are most important. And it is not that tomorrow I can play, today I can rest. No. Daily you have to keep practicing all your techniques or movements, whatever it is. And the main understanding, you need to cope up with the booster, that is the setter. You should call him. So these are the things. After that, you need, if you are a center blocker, you need to call your counter attacker also. So that is how you have to be totally focused, combined with all the players. Mutually, you should be talking to each other in ground, and you should not fight. Sometimes as a setter, he may have a big pressure, and the center blockers needs to sacrifice. They have to go for first tempo attack, the short pass or arm pass, whatever it is. Sometimes you have to dodge the opponent, so you may not get a ball. So these are all the aspects where you have to keep in your mind and
improve daily.
Yeah.
I am sure that the tips that you had just mentioned, sir, is going to help a lot of youngsters who want to pursue volleyball as a sport in the future. Before we go, we wanted to ask you, sir, we are Kolkata Thunderbolts. We are a team from Kolkata that have entered the volleyball scene. You being a absolute legend in this sport, you know that this is a sport that is predominantly played in the south of India.
During my days, understand? Kolkata women team, there were 2 teams in railways, especially Southeastern Railway, Eastern Railway.
Right.
Understand? Kolkata.
Right.
And they were so excellent. If you leave them, you can see around 4 or 5 players will be playing in Indian Railways. The rest of the railway team was representing their Kolkata team.
Okay.
Those days,
Kolkata. The Kolkata team was very good team.
And of course, if I remember, you had a Cochin Porters team also.
If you have any words for our team, especially for the city Kolkata, so if you have any memories related to Kolkata, playing volleyball in Kolkata, and if you have any message for the people here in Kolkata, if it comes from you.
Oh, I played this Kolkata Nationals when Sindhu was 1 year.
Wow!
So, we have won that championship. So we still used to remember that we used to stay, being a railway team, we used to stay in the railway rest houses in the station, that's above the station, and from there we used to take a ferry and cross to go to the stadium. So daily going by ferry, finishing our match and coming back again, crossing the Ganga River to the station. This is how, and
Right.
yeah, because of course now because those days when we were playing, we had Bengalis in our team, especially women team was there, men team. One Kamal Ghosh was there from Cochin Pro Trust, Calcutta, and
Right.
sometimes they speak Bengali as a team.
So I'll just take this liberty, sir. The people of Kolkata are going to absolutely love it. So our tagline is "Khelbe Bangla, Jeetbe Bangla," which basically means Bengal
Okay.
will play and
Like,
Bengal will play to win. That's the basic tag.
Khelbe
Thank you so
Bangla,
much,
Jeetbe
sir. Thank
Bangla.
you so much.
Huh?
Thank you so much, sir. So before we go, one last question to you. This was an absolute privilege having you here. Absolute honor, I would say, that doing this conversation with you. Before we part, your last few message for the people of this country, whoever is watching the league, wants to pursue volleyball, and wants to pursue sports, what would your message be to the people of India? How to become like a sporting personality like you were?
Right. To my knowledge, every person is a sports person, because but how the sports career has been pursued by their parents. Every child has a talent. So I wish parents should exactly look into that and encourage the child, and they should encourage the child in whichever sport he is interested. Unless until you have this this sort of commitment, so it is not only sport, you cannot come up in any of the aspects. So you have to work hard for you to come up to that particular level in whichever sport or business or education whatsoever it may be. Especially I am glad this time, especially the Sony has come forward, and they are laying this volley league.
Made this league happen.
So, how cricket has become famous, how kabaddi has become famous, pro kabaddi. This is how, and volleyball has now, even badminton. So other sports are also coming up. I wish all the federations should come forward and take up certain league matches in a year, just keeping a space of 1 month to that particular league, and just prepare the schedule accordingly, so that the players get some exposure, oblique benefit, and some interest on the sport, where such TV channels will telecast and they can enjoy and come up in this thing. So
Ultimately, the sports is what is going to be the winner at the end of the day, is what you're saying. Ultimately, the sports is going to be winner. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we had Mr. P.V. Ramana with us today, and it was an absolute honor having this conversation with you, sir. I hope you had fun doing this with us, and thank you so much for your time, sir. And we loved you in our show, and we would love to have you back in next year whenever we have this show again. Thank you so much, sir, once again.
Thank you.